It is August the 1st, 2020, and we are indeed still heavily in the COVID-19 virus epidemic. It is fitting then that I should talk about health and strength in a video or two, because it is important that we indeed, especially at this time with the virus around, we should be keeping as healthy as we possibly can. Let me say this first. The food laws that are in the Bible are not ritual. You can't find the word ritual connected with God's food laws that he gave to ancient Israel. There is just no way that they are ritual. They were part of the covenant that God gave to Israel to say, if you obey these my laws, and his laws were very broad, if you obey these laws, you will be healthy, you will be prosperous, you will be the envy of nations around you. And part of that, those many laws of God to live by as an individual and as a nation, were food laws. God created the food that we should be eating, and he created things that we should not be eating. And he gave ancient Israel then the food laws that would give them health. Yes, there are many other things, of course, to do with health, but one of them is what we eat. God's food laws have never been done away with, and Christians should be obeying them. There are 3 or 4 New Testament arguments that people put forth to say, oh, God did away with the food laws. You can eat anything you like now. Just go out there and, eat the frogs and just whatever you like, you can eat. And they come up with 2 or 3 New Testament passages that are supposed to do away with God's food laws. Now, I've answered those arguments on my website under the section of health and diet. There is nothing that does away with God's food laws. They are just simply food laws that God gave to tell you that if you eat these things, you can have a healthy body. If you eat the things I tell you that are not good for you, you're not going to have as healthy a body. Now, I know the argument can be put through that somebody can smoke a pack of cigarettes a day and live to be 99. Yes, you get all kinds of exceptions like that. So some people can live on junk food all of their life, and they may live into their 90s. But that's not the case with the vast majority of us. God's food laws are good, and they should be followed. Charles Atlas was a man who was the first Mr. World, shall we say, although the competition back then, when he lived, I think it was called something like the world's most perfectly developed man. And there was hundreds of contestants. Charles Atlas won it. The second year that they held it, Charles Atlas won it. The guy that originated it and started the competition said, well, okay, we're doing away with that competition now because Charles Atlas will win it every time. Charles Atlas was a health and strength man. He was also an extremely strong man. He worked in a circus for a while as their strong man. At the age of 66, I remember seeing an article in a paper, and it told about Charles Atlas, and he was still at the age of 66 bending 6-inch iron spikes. I seen a photo and a short article in the paper when he was 77 on the beach flexing his muscles. He still had, at 77, a 32-inch waist and a big, huge chest. His normal measurement for his chest, just normal like this, was 47 inches. 47 inches without any expansion. Charles Atlas. You can still find all about Charles Atlas. Just punch his name in on your web browser, and all kinds of things will come up concerning Charles Atlas. Charles Atlas published a 12-lesson course on health and strength. My dad encouraged me when I was about 14 to send away for this course. And finally, after 2 or 3 encouragements on it, I finally did send away for it. And it was a wonderful course. It is still available. You can still get it today for about $50, 12-lesson course on health and strength. Charles Atlas taught you in that course about some of the basic laws of health. Some of the basic laws of health, such as the mind. You should have a stress-free life as much as possible. You should have a mind that is happy, that is cheerful, that is friendly, lots of smiles, just, having that outgoing personality, and just a relaxed, happy kind of individual. The mind plays a great deal in the health of our body. Charles Atlas taught about fresh air. Get out away from the pollutants, get out in the countryside and breathe deeply, many, many times. Breathe deeply. Breathe that good fresh air in. He also taught, of course, about getting the regular type of sleep, 7 to 8 hours at least of sleep on a regular basis. He taught time out, time to relax, time to put your feet up, so to speak. And, of course, he had his exercises. He had his exercises, which he called dynamic tension. A lot of them involve stretching, but putting a lot of tension into it. Dynamic tension, he called it. Pitting one muscle against another. So you don't need any gadgets. You don't have to buy any weights. You can do these exercises wherever you are, in your hotel, at home, wherever you happen to be. You can do many of these dynamic tension exercises for the body. And of course, he also had a lesson on foods. And like many today, obviously you should be eating lots of fruits and vegetables. Should be getting them as organic as possible. And when he had his course back in the 1950s, of course, things were much more organic back then in the general way of life that most people lived. And he taught then about foods, fruits and vegetables, the basic meats, organic. He mentioned about milk, that milk was a wonderful food. Now, you can go on the internet and you can learn all about milk, and I'm not going to get into all the whys and wherefores and so forth, but milk is one of the great foods of humanity. Many, many things in milk. And now we're talking here about the average normal person, that doesn't have any allergies to milk or to lactose and so forth. We're talking about the average person, as I was as a young teenager taking his course. There was nothing wrong with me. Fortunately, I was in tremendous good health, probably inherited good genes from my parents, and I had very good health, and I was able to drink milk without any problem whatsoever. And milk is extremely good for you, and it has all kinds of vitamins and minerals in it, many, many things that are in milk. And today, I'm glad to say, you can buy organic milk in many of your stores. It simply means that the cows are not, needled with hormones and steroids and things like that. That's what it's meaning when it says organic milk. And so I do buy that today, and it is very healthy for you. Indeed, overall, for people that have no allergies and problems and so forth, milk is a very good food for you. He emphasized also white flour products that are, putting it bluntly, garbage. White flour is one of the worst things that was ever invented by mankind. And Charles Atlas taught, stay away from white flour products because there's no nutrition in them. So that's going to include your donuts. It's going to include most of your cookies and your biscuits. It's going to include spaghetti, which is mainly in the stores, made from white flour. Noodles, mainly in the stores, again, from white flour. And Charles Atlas taught, stay away from white flour because it is unhealthy. It is garbage. It does nothing for you. And of course, he also taught, be very, very moderate on sweet things. And there are many natural sweet things like dates and figs and so forth. So many things that are good for you in the way of foods. And so Charles Atlas had his course and a lesson on foods. And there are many books, of course, today on foods. Many things have been discovered since Charles Atlas first put out his 12-lesson course. And you can get, of course, many good books on foods today and so forth. So that is a start with the being healthy. And the exercises for Charles Atlas in his course, remember, they are not, you have got to be in decent bodily shape to do these exercises. So if you've got back problems, neck problems, other aches and pains, leg problems, then you should not be doing these kind of exercises in the Charles Atlas course. It is meant for people that have basically, their body is okay, their physical body. You can do these exercises, stretching, dynamic tension exercises, because your body is in decent, good shape. So there's definitely not for people that have got pain in their bodies and already got trouble with their knees or their back or their neck and so forth and so on. So just want to make sure that you understand that. It's not a panacea. It's not a panacea for everybody. It is indeed meant, his physical exercises, for people that have no body problems. So you can still obtain his course. It is very good indeed. And I encourage you to send away for it. And you can, as I say, as I've mentioned, you can do these exercises wherever you might be. He even had exercises for the face and for the neck. And I've been doing those exercises all of my life. And I'm 78 come September the 11th, 2020. I've had no facelifts. I've had no Botox. Yes, I have used Nivea cream on my face all of my life that I learned from my mother, and she encouraged me to do so, and I did. And yes, I've done that all of my life. And good eating, good diet, and you can then go into older life in good shape, and it all pays off, as you can tell by doing it. And indeed, that's what I have done all of my life, and it has paid off and is still paying off. So that's a little bit of introduction on health and strength, and especially the Charles Atlas course on his health and strength, as he calls it, still available. And it's good if you indeed get it. It's not expensive. And as I said, these exercises can be done anywhere that you happen to be. So a little bit. We've got to be healthy and strong here, especially in this epidemic time.